Hi, I'm Ray Robbins, and for those of you that don't know, I'm the very first Manitecher ever. I have been doing Manitech since late 1993, and it's my pleasure to be with you, even if it is from afar, due to the magic of modern technology, which I have become even more and more thankful for. I'm so delighted that we can be doing Zoom together and FaceTime, and we can conduct our business with our phones and our computers. And I'm so glad that shipping is not restricted either. You know, we could have had our shippers declared as non-essential, and that was not the case. So we have had the tools to continue doing our businesses just like we were before. We can continue to earn an income even though we have been restricted by the circumstances of today. And today is very unique. Today is very difficult, yet we can celebrate because Manitech has been very, very successful. Manitech's successes during the last couple of years have been relatively unprecedented. And it's my honor right now to share a little bit of our time today compared to a time that occurred 100 years ago. 100 years ago, worldwide, we had another pandemic. We had a flu that was very devastating. That flu took the lives of better than 50 million people. And simultaneously, if you can believe that, we had a world war. And that world war was very devastating as well. Many, many people subsequent to that time frame suffered, endured what we now have a label for, called post-traumatic stress. You just can imagine the stress that people had when things were so difficult during that time frame. There were a number of people worldwide that really buckled down. They really put their nose to the grindstone, and they created what today we call the Roaring 20s. Well, we're in the 20s now, in a different century, and I think that there has been such a pent-up demand and there's been such a restriction that we are going to springboard this time frame, and Manitech is already in a very successful position, into another Roaring 20s. Last time we had a Roaring 20s, there was a depression at the last part of the 20s. We put a bunch of fail-safes in now. That will not occur. In my estimation, we can carry that Roaring 20s into the Roaring 30s, the Roaring 40s of this current century. You know, not long ago, we had a really well-known financial analyst pick Manitech as being the #1 company in our space of 72 companies in our space, and we were picked as numero uno. I want you to Google this analyst. His name is Pragya Pandy, P-R-A-G-Y-A-P-A-N-D-Y. And he just wrote that article October of 1921. He said that he recommended some double-digit increases for us for at least 5 years in a row. To have double-digit increases in any business endeavor 5 years in a row is relatively unprecedented. It's indeed admirable. So Manitech is in a very admirable position. I like to refer you to something else that can show you how we're in such a fantastic place at this time. A very well-known professor at the University of Texas, his name is Robert Peterson, recently finished a study where he interviewed many, many people, especially young people, that had gotten into network marketing. And those network marketers had some quotes that I think you would like to hear. How about this quote? "I realize that I have gotten into something that I can make my career." He said that people that think that network marketing can be a full-time career for them is so much greater today than it was in the past. Also, those people interviewed said that because of their experiences in network marketing, Their problem-solving skills had gotten a whole lot better. Many of their business skills had improved. They even said that their personal lives had developed and had become so much better because of their experiences with this industry. The place where you can see Dr. Robert Peterson's study in depth is dsef.org. dsef.org. Please get that and read it and show it to other people that you want to possibly take an interest in our company. You know, a number of years ago, a book came out that many of us have read. I have decided that I'm going to read it again because it's so appropriate. It's called Who Moved My Cheese? In that book, the author is trying to tell us that throughout life, you're going to have things rolling along pretty well, and all of a sudden, something's going to go amiss. It's going to be different than what it was before. It's going to be hard for you to adjust to. It's going to be difficult for you to adapt to. Our cheese has been moved during the course of the last couple of years, much stronger than at least I've ever experienced in my life. And I've had a few ups and downs in my life, but the last couple of years have been really dramatic movement of my cheese. I never thought in my life I would be restricted from going to my workplace. I would be restricted from going to my church. I would be restricted from visiting friends and relatives at a hospital. I would not be allowed to go to a funeral of a loved one. Those are the kind of restrictions that we have gone through. It's been a very isolating time. Yet, we are told, and we have experienced with our company, with our people, a level of persistence that I think is extremely valuable. I like to take counsel from the Bible. For those of you that like to take counsel from the Bible as well, I'm going to give you a couple of scriptures. Luke 11:8-9 tells us to persist and to continue to ask and continue to seek and continue to knock. That's what we've been doing, and that's the reason why we have continued to be so successful. Another scripture that tells us about pressing on is Philippians 3:13. Look at Philippians 3:13 if that's your inclination. I have told a story in the past that some of you have heard, and I haven't told it for a while, so I'm going to tell it again now about persistence. In college, I ended up with a project to get statistics on something that the particular person I was working with had never heard before. Well, I chose, because I had a Harley Davidson motorcycle and it started with different number of kicks, and I never understood that. I decided to keep statistics on why it took different times to kickstart a Harley Davidson motorcycle. Did the temperature have anything to do with it? Did the time of day have anything to do with it? With the amount of fuel in the tank have anything to do with it? The last time I took it for a pleasure drive versus maybe a stressful time that I was headed to a class or whatever. I kept all kinds of statistics. My ultimate conclusion was there is nothing scientific about how many times you have to kick a Harley Davidson motorcycle to get it started. But there's something very philosophical, and I think that philosophical difference can have a difference in our endeavors with network marketing. I found out that you weren't going to go for a ride unless you kicked it as many times as it took. If it only took 6 times, fantastic. But if it took 25, you weren't going to go for a ride until you kicked it, until it started. Well, I think that we need to be persistent. We need to keep on keeping on. We need to adapt. Somebody has said, and it's been repeated in our industry a lot, it doesn't matter how many times you've been knocked down. What matters is how many times you get up. For those of you that don't know, I love to sing. I'm one of those that loves to karaoke. I'm going to an event soon where we're going to karaoke again, and I will not be singing this next song because I've sung it before. It's my favorite karaoke song. and it has to do with persistence. I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn, and a king. I've been up and down and over and out, and I know one thing. Each time I find myself flat down on my face, I just pick myself up and get back in the race. That's life. I would recommend that those of you that like to sing, Google that song, Google the words, memorize the words of that song, learn it. I have a feeling if you're a karaokeer, that will become your favorite as well. You have to have a mindset, not just for this, but anything that you do in life. One of my popular things to say is if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you're also right. It's a matter of programming. Fear is called by many people false evidence appearing real. Confidence is reduced because you fear something. It's an attitude situation. It's an attitude adjustment. Me and my son both like to say, or my oldest son, Kevin, that attitude is 95% of everything. Now, that might be a high estimation, but it's definitely high. I think that my attitude has been strong most of my life. I have been able to psych myself up to success for whatever I'm doing. I don't think that I'm all that educated. I don't think I'm all that good looking and never have been. I don't think I've been all that athletic all my life. I don't think it's skills that give me the success that I have. It's my attitude. It's my enthusiasm. Enthusiasm comes from a word that means God within, to an extent that you're overflowing all over for everybody. And I think that enthusiasm is attractive. I think that I am attractive without being good looking. I think I'm attractive without a lot of things because I love life. I love people. I care. I discovered a long time ago that people do not care what I know until they know that I care. I think that's true of all of us. We don't really want to listen to presentations, and we don't want to hear about a new dynamic capability of improving the health or improving the immune system or getting involved in a gig economy that will make your financial position better until we know that we care. You know, when I was young, and I've told this story before, for some reason or another, I thought I needed to be 6 feet tall. I thought that I could be a whole lot more successful if I had more altitude than the rest of my family. Well, that didn't occur. I had to learn to live with 5'10", but I did better than just learn to live with 5'10". I decided that 5'10" was the ideal height, that I was at the best place I needed to be, and it would be better for anyone else. I think that we sometimes have excuses for not accomplishing because of something that we don't have. I decided to go with what I had. I decided not to go along with any of the excuses. Do you have excuses for not calling somebody? Do you have excuses for not reading a book that you think might benefit you? Do you have excuses for not being on leadership calls or Zoom presentations? Did you have some excuses for not attending, even though it's from afar, it's recorded, this particular training activity? But then you were able to come. Get past all excuses. Excuses never promulgate success. Stepping forward, just like you have been, that gave us such a successful year in 2021. It's a decision. It's discipline. I define discipline as frequently doing something that you didn't necessarily want to do, but you knew that by doing that, it could extend you a better possibility of better success. Here's one of the basics in our business, and I love to talk about this because it gives me a capability to give me an example of that discipline. The number one thing that we tell people to do when they get involved in this, and it applies to us, is to start a contact list, and then to build that contact list, and then to refine that contact list. How valuable is that contact list if you don't contact anybody? It's called a contact list. And when you make that list, you should make a commitment right from the beginning. I'm going to make sure that anybody I put on this list, for any reason that I knew them or cared about them or they were involved in my life, that I'm going to contact them. And here's how I do that. I consider that what I'm doing is a gift to mankind, a gift to the people that I talk to. I provide a gift of a better immune system. Something that I'm providing people a gift with right now is how to handle inflation. The whole world is experiencing big increases in the prices of everything. Well, I have a way to handle that. I found out a long time ago that the best way to handle not having enough money was to make more money. I don't see budgets being the complete answer. I don't mind people budgeting. I think we should budget. I think that we should try to save, but I've found that what works the best is to make more. And I have a method. I have a way that I can give that away to other people. And they, excuse me, can do it on a very part-time basis, or they can build it into a career, like that professor at the University of Texas said was possible very recently. I wrote a book along with my son, Kevin, called Get a Grip. That stands for a growing, recurring income potential. Key in on that potential. What I'm offering people with my gifts from this company is better immune system, the capability to deal with inflation, to work with M5M that benefits kids, to be able to work from home when they couldn't before. Become an entrepreneur. You are an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. There's responsibilities with that. There's some difficulty. It's not that easy to be an entrepreneur. Boy, there's some fantastic benefits. How about the independence that you can develop? Fantastic potential. How about the freedom potential? How about the innovation capability? You can think for yourself and implement new ideas. You can take initiative. You know what you ultimately become? You become a CEO. And CEOs are influential. I think the biggest reason why they're influential is because they give success to other people. I don't think my success is anywhere near as important as it is for me to see other people that I've worked with be successful. Many of you understand exactly what I'm talking about. That's a CEO. That's influential. That allows you to address your strengths and other people's strengths, and also help make your weaknesses better, but at the same time, use the strengths of others around you to mask your weaknesses. There is no other business where you can use your strengths at the best and work on your weaknesses and do the same thing with many, many other people. In the United States, we have a holiday, which is very, very popular and very important to me, called Thanksgiving. I think that it's a mistake for us to just address and just concentrate on Thanksgiving at one time of the year. We're not the only country that has a holiday for Thanksgiving. There's many others that do as well. Your country may very well have a particular time to do that as well. I choose to be thankful every day, every hour of every day. I choose to have an attitude of gratitude and one of thanksgiving. I recommend that you develop that attitude no matter how strong or weak you are in that area. Make it get better and better all the time. And make sure that you're using that Thanksgiving to thank the people around you and to congratulate them and encourage them in everything that you do. Thank you very much for letting me have a little bit of your time. I hope your training is remarkably successful and you go away with a different pep in your step. May God go with you. Bye.